What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to another video. And this one I'm pretty excited to talk about because there's been a lot of change in the Disney company over the last couple of weeks. And I think in today's video we are going to talk about something that has been in the process, I think, behind the scenes for a little while now, but we're going to talk about the Disney Super App and potentially what that could look like. So, Disney in the past has talked about having some sort of app where everything that the Disney company can provide is all in one app, meaning you've got Disney Plus, you have all of the amenities all on one app, which I think is kind of an interesting concept. So, Disney's exploring the possibility of making that app. So we're going to discuss today just some of the potential plans for what that could look like. And Josh D'Amaro, the new CEO of Disney, which is crazy that here in 2026 we are talking about Josh D'Amaro now as the head of the Disney company. But we're going to talk about some of the positives, the negatives to this potential idea, and what would be included. So first, we're going to start there. We're going to start with what could be included in this app. So if Disney was to get some type of app that executes the vision that they could potentially be looking for, is you could watch movies and shows, buy park tickets, reserve lightning lanes, and have ride access, book Disney hotels and cruises, order merchandise, so the Disney store, watch ESPN and live sports. You can play Disney connected games. You could join interactive fan experiences. You could access loyalty and some sort of reward system, which I'm surprised that Disney hasn't further gone into, but I guess with DVC rewards, I guess that's sort of the reason they haven't gone further down that path. And then you have a couple other things like receiving some kind of personalized trip plan or, recommendations. And then the last thing here, interacting with some sort of Fortnite feature, which could potentially be involved with Disney and the parks. And again, Disney appears to have some kind of unified identity in terms of wanting this to be something in the future. It's more so the actual execution and having it actually planned out. That's kind of what makes this more difficult. Now, Disney's investment in Epic Games, they're deepening that relationship with Fortnite, which is also kind of what could lead to some sort of path to building and who could be building this sort of Disney super app. And Disney has already invested $1.5 billion into the branded experience alongside Fortnite. So again, kind of creating, not only are they talking about this, but there's actually being money invested that could eventually down the line lead to the pipeline of the Disney Super App. And then Josh D'Amaro reportedly restructured parts of Disney around the games and entertainment integration, which again, trying to seamlessly or as seamlessly as possible have everything coexisting in the same world. Not only the IPs that Disney has acquired living in the same world, but actually having all of these features and amenities connected together. And I think that's going to be a really big part of what Josh D'Amaro is going to be trying to do as CEO of Disney, is kind of really putting all the things that Bob Iger has acquired and putting it all truly, not just in the saying of under one umbrella, but truly having the Disney brand all under one umbrella, and the public knowing that, and knowing that Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN and all these different features are all under the Disney umbrella, and making that a little bit easier in a super app. Obviously that would make that a lot easier for Disney to sell that to people. Another kind of interesting thing here, so especially with ESPN, Disney's been really trying to dive into that a lot more. Live ESPN channels, betting integrations, which when you have a company like Disney, it gets a little bit touchy because of the idea of maybe the sensitivity toward, children and betting and having that in the same ecosystem, it really doesn't fit the Disney brand. I think that's the problem here with Disney, with some of what they're trying to do is, they're trying to appeal to a lot of different audiences. And the main audience, which is family and kids, betting doesn't really fit under that same umbrella. And maybe for better or for worse, that's kind of where things are at. But the reality is Disney is delving into that betting environment, fantasy sports, personalized feeds, and viewing through Disney-owned apps. Again, creating an environment where all these things can be together. So you have to think from Disney's perspective, why would Disney invest so much money into creating some sort of super app? They already have all these features available. What is the real reason for them to be doing this? Because as a business, they have to be doing this for a reason. There has to be some sort of return on their investment, right? For this time and money being spent into it. So instead of only paying for streaming, Disney wants the users buying everything together. So buying vacations, cruise packages, sports packages, merchandise, games, and digital experiences all being on the same platform. And that way you don't have to have the Disney Store app or the Walt Disney World or Disneyland or Hong Kong Disney or Tokyo Disney or Disneyland Paris app, right? You don't need all the separate apps. You can do it all from one location. Now, another big part of this is reducing the churn. And again, it comes down to the blurred lines between what is a Disney owned property. And if Disney has all of these things under one ecosystem in an app that somebody can just open up a jar and all of the different things are in that jar, that's really what Disney's trying to go for here. And if Disney Plus, becomes a streaming service, a sports hub, a vacation planner, a shopping portal, and a identity for gaming, you're much less likely to cancel the individual packages if you could wrap them all up together. And I think that's another part of the reason Disney's trying to do this. They're trying to get, maybe let's say ESPN isn't as strong of a seller for Disney. Well, if you're someone that really likes the parks, you're going to offset the cost of ESPN because you're also paying for that subscription where, maybe you don't use ESPN, but it's also going to be a part of that package. I think that's something that they're kind of exploring a lot and looking into. And building that ecosystem, again, you're looking at something maybe we've seen from Apple services or Amazon in terms of their ecosystems as a blueprint for what Disney could be looking for. And in terms of where this is at currently, in terms of the planning right now, it appears to be in very early planning. And the strategy at this point is, it's more of a strategy trying to figure out where the starting direction of the tree is going to go, more so than what the actual final product is at this point. There's a lot of work to go. They are building from the ground up, and they're pretty much at the concrete still. They're basically at the point of where Monsters, Inc. roller coaster is right now at Hollywood Studios. They are from the base going up. So the executives at Disney, they hinted at the direction, but really there's no confirmed release date at this point. There's no kind of base for what the app will look like, and there's no feature list at this point. But it's safe to assume that that is the direction Disney will want to go in once they fully commit to it. And so far, a lot of people, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think for the most part, people like the idea of it. But, unfortunately, the way Disney's technology has been recently, and their IT department, they're struggling with the websites on their own, crashing, and the Lightning Lane app breaking, or My Disney Experience crashing and having major issues. So now you put everything into a single app. Now, if something happens to that app, you have no access. And that is really the biggest issue here. You're putting a lot of reliance on that technology in that app. And if it is not working properly, it is going to be a massive, massive problem. And that's really, when you're that reliant on one singular app, if the ESPN app isn't working, that's one thing. That's just the ESPN app. Now you're talking about the ESPN app and everything else not working on that app, it's going to be a major issue for the IT. They really have to make sure that that thing is ironclad and is not constantly shutting down and crashing. That could be a major issue with this. And the other part of it is too, I mean, people have talked about maybe Disney selling off some of their their excess companies, because they are very bloated. And the line between the Disney brand and all the things that they've bought, as much as Bob Iger did buy a lot of different things, it doesn't all scream Disney and the brand that is representing. So they really have to be careful with the brands that are representing their company, and if it's a good fit for the Disney company, or do they look at it as, well, it might have been a fit, this might not have been a fit in, Walt's days in the, back in the day in the 50s and the 60s, but now, now it really makes sense. And this is something that in 2026, it is a part of the Disney brand, because you also don't want to dilute the brand of Disney. And that's another thing that it seemingly, perspective wise, from the public view of things, it has diluted the brand a little bit. So those are the kind of things you have to kind of consider with this super app. I'm really interested to see where things go over the next couple of years, but the fact that we're talking about this as pretty much as soon as Josh D'Amaro is coming in, I would think that this is a culmination of Disney trying to reset and say, we want to redefine and strengthen our brand. And how can we do that? Building a Disney super app is a really, it kind of makes sense why Disney would be trying to do that, because it's going to create that synergy that Disney loves to talk about, that synergy across all the different IPs and the different features in the Disney company all into one app. It would really be kind of an interesting thing to consider. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like the idea of Disney doing this? Do you think it's a bad idea? Let me know down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.